In this video, I'm going to be guiding you through Chapter 16 and Chapter 17, Business Costs, Revenue and Profit. The definition of total revenue is the amount of money a firm receives from selling its output, and the calculation for this is selling price multiplied by quantity sold. The definition for total fixed costs are production costs that remain the same, whatever the level of output. So if a business sells absolutely nothing that month, they still need to pay these fixed costs. Some examples of these include labor, insurance, rent, and building management costs. Total variable costs are production costs that change when the level of output changes. If a firm produces nothing, variable costs will be zero. And in order to find the total variable costs, this is the variable cost per unit multiplied by the quantity sold. Total costs are all costs incurred by the firm, and the calculation is total fixed costs plus total variable costs. Average costs are the average cost of production for a single unit, and the calculation is total cost divided by the total quantity. And lastly, profit. This is the difference between the total revenue and total costs. If total costs exceeded total revenue, then the firm then makes a loss. And the calculation for this is total revenue minus total cost. The definition for economies of scale is that the average costs fall as the firm increases in size. When average costs are completely minimized, this is when firms will then reach an ideal size. This makes them efficient and avoids wasting resources. And internal economies of scale are the cost benefits that the individual firm can enjoy when it grows. And here are the types of internal economies of scale. Firstly, purchasing. This is when very large firms are able to negotiate lower prices from their suppliers when they buy in bulk. It's kind of similar to how consumers buy a packet of 12 Coca-Colas as opposed to an individual one, as it is cheaper. But for large firms, they are buying in the millions. Marketing economies of scale. One example is that they can run their own delivery vehicles rather than paying a separate distributor. And if a firm can control their own distribution, this turns their standard delivery routes into high visibility, free mobile advertising that spreads fixed branding costs across thousands of vehicles. Furthermore, large firms are able to spend large amounts of money on high-quality television adverts, which thousands of people can see, which will more than likely impact their decision to buy. And if enough people make the purchase, then the large firm will make their money back quite easily. Technical economies of scale is when larger factories allow for specialization and greater investment in their machinery. This can be them using state-of-the-art artificial intelligence and design software for everyday operations. This will improve quality and quantity of output, and in the long run, reducing average costs. In the case for financial economies of scale, this is when large firm gets access to money cheaply. This means that they get a lower interest rate when borrowing from the banks. They are also able to raise money from other ways, such as selling shares. Banks are also happier to lend large amounts of money to large corporations, as doing so will pose less risk for the banks, as large corporations are able to pay them back. Managerial economies of scale is when they can hire highly specialist managers instead of relying on a single general manager to manage operations. And these specialists will improve the overall efficiency of the business, which in turn will be able to lower the average costs further. And lastly, risk-bearing economies of scale is when a business is able to reduce their risk by offering large product ranges in different market segments. For example, supermarkets traditionally sold groceries and other essential items in your household, but now they include a wide range of products such as insurance, internet and telephone service providers, financial services, passport photo-taking services, and many, many more. Moving on to external economies of scale. This is when the business has zero control of the economies of scale. Skilled labor is an external economies of scale, as the large business will need to hire locally. So if they are able to access a large pool of educated and skilled labor, this will boost their productivity. Schools are also most likely to provide specific vocational courses needed by that local industry. Having a well-connected and highly efficient infrastructure, such as roads, railways, ports, and buildings, can be highly advantageous to large businesses. For example, an exporting business requires good roads and excellent ports in order to export their goods and services. Markets can also be very large, and governments will develop specialized industrial estates, which was built specifically to help support the local IT industry. Having access to suppliers is also advantageous as it encourages specialist services such as banking, maintenance, and component suppliers to set up close by the large firm. And all firms will get easy access and benefit from these local support services, and every single one of these suppliers will be able to benefit from each other. And lastly, similar businesses in the area. This is when they cooperate with each other so they all gain. Competing high-tech businesses might work together to share the high costs and benefits of a single research and development center. And in the modern day, this could be an artificial intelligence data center, which has very high fixed costs and running costs. Now moving on to diseconomies of scale. Bureaucracy is the first one, as there may be too many resources are wasted on administration, such as filling forms or writing reports. This is when the firm prioritizes paperwork over getting things done. Another example is when the communication becomes slow, and an important message will take too long to be delivered to the entire company, which results in slow decision making. In the case for communication problems, this is when a firm that is so large they have thousands or hundreds of thousands of workers all across the world who speak different languages and have different cultures. And these cultural and language barriers combined with time differences make it largely problematic, and decisions will be made with inaccurate information. And in the case for control, managing this many employees with billions of dollars and dozens of plants around the world is very difficult to control, especially if you compare it to a small shop in your local area. And in order to control these properly, the business will need to hire more supervisors, extra layers of management, and all of this results in higher operating costs. And finally, the distance between senior staff and the shop floor workers can be quite far. What this means is that the senior managers will be completely unaware of what the workers needs. This could be anything such as health and safety, or potential well-being problems, and this lack of understanding will demotivate workers and worsen the relationship between senior staff and workers. And this could potentially lead to conflicts, which is a waste of resources for the company. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.